My husband asked for permission to cheat on me, and I gave it to him with a smile. He didn't phrase it that way, of course. He used words like self-discovery and personal growth and reconnecting with who I am. He framed it as a spiritual journey, a necessary step in his evolution as a human being. But I knew what he was really asking. We were sitting at the kitchen table on a Sunday evening in March, the same table where we had eaten thousands of meals together, where we had planned vacations and discussed finances and navigated the ordinary logistics of 14 years of marriage. Derek was holding a cup of coffee he hadn't touched. His eyes were doing that thing they did when he was about to deliver news he knew I wouldn't like, darting around the room, landing everywhere except on my face. "I need to talk to you about something," he said. "Okay." "I've been feeling lost lately, disconnected, like I don't know who I am anymore." I waited. I had learned over 14 years that Derek's confessions came in layers. The surface layer was always reasonable. The deeper layers were where the truth lived. "I think I need some time away, to find myself, to figure out what I want from life." "Time away?" "A solo trip. Just me, no distractions. Somewhere I can think, reflect, reconnect with my purpose." "Where were you thinking?" "Bali. I've always wanted to go. The culture, the spirituality, the energy. I think it would be healing." "How long?" 2 weeks. I absorbed this information slowly, turning it over in my mind like a stone I had found on a beach, smooth on the surface, but something rough underneath. "When would you leave?" "Next month, April, if you're okay with it." He finally looked at me then, his expression carefully arranged into something hopeful and vulnerable, the face of a man asking his wife for understanding, for support, for permission to pursue his personal growth. I looked at my husband of 14 years, at the man I had built a life with, at the father of no children. We had tried, it hadn't worked, and the grief of that had settled into the foundation of our marriage like cracks in concrete. I looked at him, and I saw the lie. I didn't know the details yet, didn't know who or where or how long it had been happening, but I knew, with the bone-deep certainty that comes from sharing a bed with someone for 14 years, that this wasn't about self-discovery. This was about someone else. "Of course," I said, reaching across the table to squeeze his hand. "Go heal. I want you to be happy." His relief was so immediate, so profound, that it confirmed everything I suspected. He had expected resistance, arguments, questions he would have to dance around. Instead, he got permission. And he had no idea that the permission came with strings attached. "My name is Vivian Okafor Harrison. I am 41 years old. I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, the daughter of Nigerian immigrants who built a successful catering business from a single food truck into a company that now serves events across the entire eastern seaboard. My parents taught me many things about trust, about loyalty, about the difference between what people say and what they actually mean. Words are cheap, my mother used to say. Anyone can make promises. Watch what they do when they think no one is looking. That's who they really are." Derek thought no one would be looking in Bali. He was wrong. I need to tell you about the years before that Sunday evening conversation. I met Derek Harrison at a marketing conference in Chicago in 2009. He was 32 then, a rising account executive at a mid-sized agency. I was 26, ambitious and hungry, working my way up at a competing firm. We connected over drinks at the hotel bar, bonding over our shared frustrations with corporate politics and our dreams of something bigger. He was charming in that effortless way some men have, quick with a joke, attentive to details, making you feel like you were the only person in the room. By the end of the conference, we had exchanged numbers. By the end of the month, we were dating long distance. Him in Chicago, me in Philadelphia. By the end of the year, he had transferred to his company's Philadelphia office to be closer to me. "You're worth relocating for," he said when he told me about the transfer. "I've never felt this way about anyone." I believed him. We married in 2011, a beautiful ceremony at my parents' catering venue in Chestnut Hill. 300 guests, a 12-piece band, a cake that took my mother's team 2 days to create. Everyone said we were perfect together, and for a while, we were. The first 5 years were genuinely good. We built a life, bought a house in the suburbs, established careers, created routines and traditions that felt meaningful. We tried for children, and when that didn't happen, we grieved together, supported each other, found new ways to build a family through our friendships and our community. But somewhere around year 8, something shifted. I can't point to a single moment when Derek changed. It was gradual, like watching a photograph fade in sunlight. The attentiveness dimmed, the jokes became less frequent, the feeling of being the only person in the room, that magical feeling from our first night together, disappeared entirely. He started working late more often, taking business trips that seemed to multiply, coming home tired in a way that felt less like exhaustion and more like depletion, as if he had given all his energy somewhere else and had nothing left for me. I asked him about it, of course. Gently at first, then more directly. "Is everything okay? You seem distant lately." "Just work stress. The new client is demanding." "You've been traveling a lot. Is that normal for this role?" "Part of the job. Can't be helped." "Do you still want to be married to me?" That question, asked on a quiet Tuesday night after he had checked his phone 17 times during dinner, made him pause. "Of course I do. Why would you even ask that?" "Because I feel like you're somewhere else, even when you're sitting right next to me." "I'm right here, I promise." But he wasn't. Not really. And I think, on some level, I knew that. I just didn't want to believe it. In the weeks before his Bali announcement, I started paying closer attention. Not in an obsessive way. Not going through his phone or checking his emails. I wasn't ready to cross that line yet. But I noticed things I had been too trusting to notice before. The way he angled his phone away from me when texting. The new cologne he had started wearing, something musky and expensive that he said he bought for himself. The gym membership he had suddenly become devoted to after years of skipping workouts. The way he said certain names a little too carefully, as if he was conscious of his own tongue. "Amanda's handling the Henderson account now," he mentioned casually one evening. "She's really talented." "I don't think I know Amanda." "She started about 6 months ago. Really sharp. Good instincts." He said her name the way you say the name of someone you're trying not to think about too much. Amanda. I filed that name away for later. The Sunday evening conversation about Bali crystallized everything. Self-discovery. Personal growth. Finding myself. These were phrases from therapy sessions and self-help books, language designed to sound enlightened and introspective, language that was very hard to argue against without seeming unsupportive or controlling. Who could object to their husband wanting to reconnect with his purpose? But Bali wasn't a random choice. Derek had never expressed interest in Bali before, never talked about Indonesian culture or Balinese spirituality, never mentioned it as a bucket list destination. Bali was specific, which meant someone had suggested it, or someone was going to be there. After Derek fell asleep that night, contentedly, the sleep of a man who had gotten exactly what he wanted, I went to my home office and sat in the darkness. I could confront him now, demand answers, create the scene that every betrayed spouse is entitled to create. But what would that accomplish? He would deny everything, spin a story, make me feel paranoid and controlling for questioning his perfectly reasonable desire for self-discovery. I needed proof, and I knew exactly how to get it. I hired a private investigator 3 days after Derek's Bali announcement. Her name was Michelle Okonkwo, a former FBI agent who had started her own firm specializing in discreet surveillance for personal matters, which was the polite way of saying catching cheating spouses. I found her through my cousin, who had used her services during her own divorce. "She's thorough," my cousin said, "and she doesn't judge. She just finds the truth." I met Michelle at a coffee shop in Center City, far from anyone who might recognize me. "Tell me what you suspect," she said, sliding a legal pad across the table. I told her everything, the distant behavior, the name Amanda, the sudden interest in Bali, the solo trip for self-discovery. Michelle took notes without expression. "Do you have any evidence of an affair? Texts, emails, anything concrete?" "Nothing concrete, just a feeling. 14 years of marriage teaches you to read someone, and I'm reading something wrong. Feelings are often accurate. Let me do some preliminary research." "How does this work?" I start with social media. Check if there's an Amanda at his company. Cross-reference her travel history, her social media activity, any connections that might link her to Bali during the same 2-week window. And if you find something, then I follow him to Bali. I blinked. You'd go to Bali? If that's where the evidence is, that's where I go. I have contacts in Indonesia. Good people who can assist with local surveillance. How much would that cost? She named a figure. It was substantial, several $1,000s for the international travel, plus daily rates for surveillance, plus expenses. I didn't hesitate. Do it. Whatever it takes to get the truth. Michelle nodded. I'll be in touch within the week. The preliminary research confirmed my suspicions within 4 days. Michelle called me on a Thursday evening. I found Amanda. Amanda Chen, 29 years old, joined your husband's company 8 months ago as a junior account manager. She reports to Derek's team. 8 months. Yes. And here's the interesting part. She just booked a trip to Bali, departing April 15th, returning April 28th. The exact dates Derek had chosen. Same hotel? The Ayana Resort and Spa in Jimbaran Bay, one of the most romantic resorts in Bali. And Derek's booking? Same resort. I checked. My chest felt tight, but my mind was clear. Can you tell if they booked together? Same room? Not yet, but I will once they arrive. I'm planning to be there when they check in. You're going to Bali? I'm flying out the day before they arrive. I have a local contact who works at the resort. He can get me access to information that public records don't show. Like whether they're sharing a room. Exactly. I took a breath. Do it. I want to know everything. Photos, timelines, every detail. You'll have it. But I need to ask you something. What? What are you planning to do with this information? Are you gathering evidence for divorce? Legal proceedings? Personal closure? I considered the question. I'm gathering evidence so that when I confront him, he can't deny it. He can't make me feel crazy. He can't spin a story that makes me the villain. That's a common reason, but I have to warn you. Sometimes the truth is harder than the suspicion. Right now, you can still hope you're wrong. Once you see the photos, hope disappears. I'd rather have painful truth than comfortable lies. Michelle nodded. Then I'll get you the truth. The 2 weeks of Derek's trip were an exercise in performance. I drove him to the airport with a smile, kissed him goodbye at security, told him to have a transformative experience. I really appreciate you understanding, he said, hugging me. I know this isn't easy, but I promise I'll come back refreshed, ready to be a better husband. I know you will. I love you. I love you too. Now go find yourself. He walked through the security checkpoint with a lightness in his step I hadn't seen in years. The lightness of a man escaping. The lightness of a man going towards something he wanted, away from something he didn't. I watched him until he disappeared into the terminal. Then I went home and waited for Michelle's reports. The first report came 3 days after Derek arrived in Bali. Michelle had checked into a hotel near the Ayana Resort. Her local contact, a concierge named Wayan, who supplemented his income with discreet information gathering, had confirmed what I already suspected. They're in the same room, Michelle told me over a secure phone line. Booked under Derek's name, king bed, ocean view. They've ordered room service twice, breakfast both times. Haven't left the room much. My stomach churned, but my voice stayed steady. Have you gotten photos? Some preliminary ones. They had dinner at the resort restaurant last night. I was at a nearby table. They held hands. She fed him dessert. They looked like honeymooners. More photos. I need undeniable proof. I'm working on it. They have a couples massage booked for tomorrow and a sunset cruise on Friday. Couples massage. Sunset cruise. Yes. He told me this was a solo trip for self-discovery. The discovery seems to be of Amanda Chen's company. Despite everything, I laughed. It was either laugh or cry, and I had decided I wasn't going to cry until this was over. Keep documenting. I want everything. You'll have it. The daily reports became a kind of ritual. Every morning, Michelle would call with an update. Every evening, she would send a secure file with photos from the day's surveillance. I saw my husband holding hands with a woman young enough to be his niece if he had sisters. I saw them walking on beaches, eating at restaurants, sitting by infinity pools with cocktails that cost more than some people's hourly wages. I saw them kissing, embracing, looking at each other with the same intensity Derek used to look at me, back when I was the only person in his room. The photos were painful, but they were also clarifying. This wasn't a midlife crisis. This wasn't a temporary lapse in judgment. This was a relationship, ongoing, established, the kind of connection that takes time to build. How long had it been happening? 6 months? 8 months? Longer? I didn't know the exact timeline, but I knew enough. My husband had been lying to me. For months, probably longer. And now I had the proof. The final report came 2 days before Derek was scheduled to return. Michelle had compiled everything into a comprehensive dossier. 67 pages of documentation, 143 photographs, detailed timelines showing Derek and Amanda's movements, their shared meals, their romantic activities. The most damning photo showed them at the Uluwatu Temple at sunset, a sacred Balinese site where couples often went for romantic ceremonies. They were embracing, silhouetted against the orange sky, looking for all the world like lovers on a once-in-a-lifetime trip. Self-discovery, indeed. "This is more than enough for divorce proceedings," Michelle said when she delivered the report in person. "Any family court judge would consider this conclusive evidence of adultery." "Thank you. What's your plan?" "I'm going to let him come home. Let him tell me all about his transformative experience. Let him lie to my face one more time. And then I'm going to show him the report. Do you want me there, for safety?" I considered it. "No, I need to do this alone. I need to see his face when he realizes that I know everything." Michelle nodded. "Be careful. Men who get caught sometimes react badly. Derek isn't violent. He's a coward. Cowards don't fight. They run. Still, if you need anything, I know where to find you. Thank you, Michelle, for everything." She shook my hand. "Good luck, Vivian. I hope you find the closure you're looking for." Derek came home on a Sunday afternoon. I heard his car pull into the driveway, heard the trunk open and close, heard his footsteps on the front porch. The sounds of a husband returning from a trip, ordinary, domestic, utterly mundane, except nothing was ordinary anymore. I was sitting in the living room when he came through the door, the investigation report in a manila folder on the coffee table in front of me. He couldn't see what it was. Not yet. Just a folder, innocent and unremarkable. "Hey!" He dropped his suitcase and crossed the room to hug me. "I missed you." "I missed you too." He pulled back, studying my face. "You okay? You seem different." "Just tired. Long couple of weeks." "I bet, but I'm back now, and I feel amazing, truly transformed." "Tell me about it." He sat down across from me, his face glowing with the particular satisfaction of someone who had gotten away with something. Where do I even start? The energy in Bali is incredible, so spiritual. I spent hours meditating, walking on the beach, just connecting with myself. That sounds beautiful. It really was. I did a lot of thinking about us, about our marriage, about what I want our future to look like. And what do you want? I want to recommit. To you. To us. I realized on this trip how much I've taken our relationship for granted. I want to be a better husband. The irony was so thick I could taste it. A better husband. Yes, starting now. I'm going to be more present, more attentive. The man you deserve. I let the silence stretch between us. That's beautiful, Derek. Really. It sounds like you had a genuine transformation. I did. I really did. I'm so glad. I reached for the manila folder on the coffee table. Actually, I did some self-discovery of my own while you were gone. His expression flickered, the first tiny crack in his performance. What do you mean? I slid the folder across the table. Why don't you take a look? He picked up the folder with hands that were slightly unsteady. He opened it to the first page, the executive summary Michelle had prepared, and began to read. I watched his face change as he absorbed the words. Private investigation commissioned on March 15th. Subject: Derek Harrison. Surveillance location: Ayana Resort and Spa, Jimbaran Bay, Bali, Indonesia. Secondary subject, Amanda Chen, 29, junior account manager at Morrison & Associates. He flipped to the next page. And the next. His face grew progressively paler with each photograph. Derek and Amanda at the restaurant, holding hands. Derek and Amanda by the pool, her head on his shoulder. Derek and Amanda at Uluwatu Temple, embracing at sunset. Derek and Amanda in the hotel lobby, checking into their shared room. By the time he reached the timeline, a detailed log of every romantic activity documented over 14 days, he had gone completely white. Vivian, don't. I can explain. There is no explanation. I hired a private investigator the day after you asked for permission to take your solo trip. I had her follow you to Bali. I have 143 photographs and 67 pages of documentation showing exactly how you spent your 2 weeks of self-discovery. You didn't mean what? To get caught? To have your transformation documented in high-definition photographs? To be so arrogant that you didn't think your wife might suspect something? It's not what it looks like. It's exactly what it looks like. You've been having an affair with your subordinate. You asked for permission to take a romantic vacation with her. You lied to my face, made me feel like I was supporting your personal growth, and spent 2 weeks in paradise with someone else while I waited at home like a fool. Vivian, please. I'm not finished. I stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the garden I had tended for 14 years. The roses were blooming. Spring was arriving. Life was continuing, indifferent to the collapse of my marriage. I've spent the last 2 weeks thinking about what I want to say to you in this moment. I've rehearsed speeches, prepared arguments, imagined all the ways I could make you feel as small as you've made me feel. I'm so sorry. But here's what I've realized. You're not worth the energy. You're not worth the anger. You're not worth any more of my time. I turned to face him. I've already contacted a divorce attorney. The papers will be ready by the end of the week. I'm keeping the house. It was purchased with my inheritance, and the deed is in my name. You can take whatever personal belongings fit in your car. Everything else is mine. We can work through this. No, we can't. You didn't just cheat on me. You asked for my blessing to do it. You looked me in the eyes and asked me to support your healing journey while you were planning a romantic getaway with another woman. That's not a mistake. That's not a moment of weakness. That's a fundamental contempt for me and our marriage. I still love you. No, you don't. If you loved me, you would have talked to me, told me you were unhappy, asked for a divorce honestly instead of sneaking around like a teenager. What you did wasn't love. It was cowardice. Derek was crying now. Actually crying, tears streaming down his face. I felt nothing. What can I do? Tell me what to do to fix this. I picked up the investigation folder and held it out to him. Take this. Read it thoroughly. Show it to Amanda. You two can discuss how your self-discovery journey got documented by a professional investigator. He took the folder with trembling hands. And after that? I smiled. Not a warm smile. Not a forgiving smile. The smile of someone who had found clarity in devastation. Glad you found yourself, Derek. Now lose my number. His face crumpled. Vivian, get out of my house. You can stay in a hotel until you find a permanent arrangement. But you're not sleeping here tonight. Not ever again. He stood, uncertain. The folder clutched to his chest like a lifeline. Can we at least talk tomorrow? When we've both had time to process. There's nothing to process. You had an affair. I have proof. The marriage is over. Those are facts, not feelings. 14 years. 14 years that you ended the moment you booked that hotel room with her. I'm just making it official. I walked to the front door and opened it. Leave. He walked past me slowly, pausing at the threshold. I really did love you. Once. Once, I repeated. That's the saddest thing you've said today. He walked to his car, got in, drove away. I closed the door, leaned against it, and finally, let myself cry. The divorce took 6 months. Derek tried to contest it at first, claiming that we could reconcile, that the affair was a symptom of deeper issues that we should address in couples therapy. I declined. My attorney, Jacqueline Chen, no relation to Amanda, thankfully, was ruthless. She used the investigation report to establish clear grounds for divorce. She negotiated a settlement that gave me the house, my retirement accounts, and a portion of Derek's pension. Derek got what he deserved: his clothes, his car, and Amanda Chen, who, according to office gossip relayed by my friend who still worked in the industry, broke up with him 3 months after our divorce was finalized. Apparently, she wasn't interested in him once he was actually available, my friend said. The affair was exciting. The reality of divorced Derek was boring. I found that deeply satisfying. The months after the divorce were hard, then healing, then hopeful. I spent the first month crying, the second month raging, the third month questioning everything I had ever believed about love and trust and my own judgment. By the fourth month, I started therapy. By the fifth month, I started feeling like myself again. By the sixth month, I was ready to build something new. I threw myself into my work. I reconnected with friends I had neglected during the difficult years of my marriage. I traveled, alone, genuinely alone, not finding myself as a euphemism for meeting a lover, to places I had always wanted to see. I went to Portugal and walked the cliffs of Lagos. I went to Japan and found peace in the gardens of Kyoto. I went to Ghana and connected with my ancestral heritage in ways that moved me to tears. Each trip was a step away from the woman who had smiled through her husband's betrayal. Each trip was a step toward someone new, someone stronger, someone wiser, someone who would never again confuse patience with naivety. My mother visited me a year after the divorce was finalized. She walked through my house now, fully mine, and nodded approvingly at the changes I had made. New paint, new furniture, a garden redesigned without Derek's preferences in mind. "You've made this place yours," she said. "Finally. How are you feeling?" "Better than I ever thought I would. Better than I was when I was married, honestly." "That doesn't surprise me. The last few years of your marriage you were dimmed, like a light bulb running on reduced power. Now you're full brightness again." I laughed. "That's a very specific metaphor. Your father was an electrician before he was a caterer. I picked things up." We sat in the sunroom, drinking tea, watching the afternoon light move across the garden. "Tell me something," my mother said. "The private investigator, the report, the confrontation. Do you regret any of it?" "No." "Not even the cost? The drama? You could have just asked him, found out the truth the simple way." "If I had asked him, he would have lied. He was already lying. He had been lying for months, maybe longer. The only way to get the truth was to document it so thoroughly that he couldn't deny it." "And was that satisfying? Seeing his face when he realized?" I thought about the question. Satisfying isn't quite the right word. It was clarifying. I spent the last few years of my marriage questioning my own instincts, wondering if I was being paranoid, telling myself that Derek's distance was work stress, that his distraction was just midlife malaise. But you were right. I was right. And the report proved it. Not just to him, to me. I wasn't crazy. I wasn't paranoid. I saw what I saw, and the evidence confirmed it. That's worth the cost of an investigation. It was worth everything. My mother squeezed my hand. "Your father would be proud of how you handled this." "Would he?" "He always said, 'Don't fight with fools. They drag you down to their level and beat you with experience.' You didn't fight with Derek. You just gathered the truth and presented it. No screaming, no violence, just facts." I wanted to scream. I wanted to throw things. I wanted to make him feel every ounce of pain I was feeling. But you didn't. No. I realized that giving him my anger would have given him power. He could have used it to justify himself. "See, she's so unstable. No wonder I looked elsewhere." By staying calm, by presenting the evidence without emotion, I took away his ability to make me the villain. That's wisdom, baby. Painful wisdom, but wisdom nonetheless. I learned it from you. My mother smiled. You learned the foundations from me. The architecture was all you. If this story resonates with you, Share it with someone who needs to hear it. Drop a comment telling me where you're watching from and whether you've ever trusted your instincts when everyone else told you to ignore them. Like and subscribe for more stories about truth, betrayal, and the power of knowing your worth. I'm taking a solo trip to find myself. You understand, right? 2 weeks in Bali. I said, "Of course, go heal." He left. I hired a private investigator. Turns out his coworker Amanda was finding herself in Bali too. Same hotel, same room, king bed, couples massage, sunset cruise, 143 photographs. When he came back refreshed and ready to recommit to our marriage, I handed him the investigation report. His face went white. "I can explain," I smiled. "Glad you found yourself. Now lose my number." He found himself all right. He found out that I'm not a woman who waits quietly while she's being betrayed.